good morning, everyone. My name is Sivram Parmeshwaran, and like Ivy said, as part of Island Digital, this is the Island Digital, family of companies. There are different, family firms, who are focusing on different aspects of technologies. So I come from Purple Slate, and then we focus exclusively on conversational AI, including voice and natural language-based solution applications. And you do have the other partner companies specializing in, say, from Salesforce to Internet of Things to cloud admin. All these different areas, and then we have different of our business units, focusing on those. Right. So just a little bit about Purple Slate. As I said, I'm one of the co-founders. And what we really do, as I said, being part of the Island family, we are focused on building applications for the next generation interfaces. By that, what I really mean by is today, when we have graphical user interfaces or using the smartphones and all, I think definitely that is changing in the days ahead. I'll just talk about it, in a little bit. The easiest example I could relate it is something which many of us use in our day-to-day life, which is whether it is Siri or Alexa or OK Google, and these are just examples of how the computing devices are getting increasingly better at understanding the language we speak. So that interface, I think it's more and more getting adopted in the enterprise. Specifically, today I'm going to talk more about the insurance industry and how some of these technologies could, really help us. Right. So that's me. Before doing Purple Slate, it is a little over 5 years now, and I've been spent a significant portion of my career, or rather the entire career, in Wall Street with the financial industry. Part of Bank of New York Mellon for a very long time. I was heading the data strategy and the data science teams, and after that, so we were trying out these technologies like 6 years back, and then that's when we thought, why don't we do it as a startup? And then that's where that's the genesis of Purple Slate. Right. So what are we going to talk about today? I have a little over an hour, and then I'll try to wrap it up. Within that, it's close to 60 slides. But at a very high level, I'm sure many of you would be already familiar with this topic, or maybe already working on applications or having deployed some of those and all that. But definitely, just to make sure, I just cover the bit of audience we have. It is talking about, even setting some context on what is conversational AI, why is this really becoming very popular, and why some of those business outcomes are really becoming very meaningful for enterprises to adopt, and what does it really mean specifically, lying to today's topic? What does it really mean for the insurance industry? We work with we have worked with few of very large insurance companies. I'll show some of those applications as well as, and we do have few platforms, that help you accelerate your journey in the conversational AI space. So I'll also demo that. So because of given the time constraint and all, I'll also show you one couple of them as short videos, rather than just doing as demos, on some of our applications. And also, I'll exclusively talk about a lot of use cases, especially in the insurance industry. There is, we've been as I said, we've been partnering with some of the insurance companies on different problem spaces, leveraging conversational AI. I'll talk about it as well. So what is conversational AI? As I said, just a quick context or introduction, right? So it is the application of the modern technologies that use language as interface. So whatever I have highlighted there, those are the significant parts. Why? How does it really help? Personalized customer experiences and significant operational efficiency gains. In terms of even whether it is saving costs or improving, helping the productivity level, helping us do, or help humans do higher value added stuff, and then offloading significant portion of it to, say, like a chat bot or something like that, or a smart assistant, right? So that's where, or say for example, one very, very common example I always give is the traditional IVR telephony. I mean, we all know, I mean, we hate that experience when we call a number and then it says, hey, press one to do this, two to do that, and all that. So now instead, when you call a number, I mean, why can't you just say, hey, I would like to check my credit card balance? So um, since the devices, as I said, they have the ability to understand languages. Now some you can have a software application, which is again a bot, which could just respond to this question, of what is my account balance. Right? Those are like very, very simple, use cases which are extensively used these days. So that way you can very easily think about how much call volume reduction, big companies can have, especially the last 2 years. I mean, that's something, I'll also talk about more. Given the pandemic, many of the big companies, they were strained for resources, and then how some of these technologies really help them meet those excessive demands, as well as short supply of humans because of the lockdown and other stuff, right? So that's at a very, very high level in terms of what conversational AI is. Or, I mean, as I said, or in other words, what is really happening is computers and devices are increasingly getting better at understanding the language we speak. So even if I have to put it this way, I mean, the only reason we were learning the languages, whether it is the programming languages or the, even the machine languages and all that, because that's how the machines, the computers operated on binary, or right. So we were kind of giving instructions, or whether it is a simple compute or anything, in the language which the computers understood, right? Whether it could be all the. Now what is really changing is, and then you have the graphical user interfaces where we had the point and click devices, to get things done. Right? Now imagine, if the computers could I can just talk to. I mean, that's why I gave this example of Siri, Alexa devices, or even the Bing search. Today, the voice search is one of the extensively used features where you can just talk, and then the computer is able to understand that and then bring back the results, right? So that's what is really happening, in terms of the interface area. Right? So what do we really see in the coming days? Or why? I mean, in fact, this is one of the primary reason for even the existence of our company like Purple Slate is we feel conversation in text and voice would become one of the primary ways of providing and consuming services. So more and more your enterprise applications, it could be a web page today, or it could be a application on a smartphone and all that, but that would really change. I mean, whether it is the point and click or the touch interfaces, I think language would soon become one of the, very popular interface, right? And as I said, what does it really mean? Humans, generally, I mean, humans, we love to talk and nudge. And just like the way, how we communicate with fellow human beings, I think the similar experience you would be able to have, with the devices. I mean, what we do today with the Alexa device could be just a precursor. We could just be asking for checking the weather or play the music and all that. But definitely, that is changing. Or, I mean, not just the voice, like how we chat with a fellow human being. I think, you can chat. I mean, the chatbots are the earliest incarnations, but you can really do business transactions, chatting with the device and all that, right? So with this quick background, let me just play 1 minute video, and I mean, just to give a quick overview of what we do. Let me just put that video.
We all love to have a conversation.
Just a quick pass. I mean, I hope you're able to hear the audio.
Yes, we are able to hear.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Conversations that are one way, two ways, informational, exciting, and at times boring. And we have got new friends now, machines. They're getting better at understanding the language we speak. Yes, you heard it right. Conversation is the new interface. We just need a trusted partner to make it possible. Say hello to Purple Slate. We help businesses leverage the power of conversations with their customers to get things done, be more efficient, deliver quality services, build relationships, be more human with conversations that are powerful, meaningful, intelligent, personal, a bit funny at times. Deep conversations are priceless. We make it possible. We are Purple Slate. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, so with that quick introduction, let me jump into the presentation today. So why is this? As I said, I mean, besides the technology, with the devices getting better at understanding our language, what else is really fueling these technologies, or why are they really becoming popular, right? So I've just grouped it into three main aspects. One is the behavioral stuff. The second one is around technology. The third is the customer expectations or the user I mean, that is also changing significantly, right? So the behavioral drivers, I mean, as I said, humans, we love to talk and nudge others, right? And today, I mean, you can really see that in the way, we leverage the messaging platform to get things done. And, it's messaging is the number one digital activity today. I mean, in fact, if you take any stats on the mobile apps, the highest downloads are the heavily used ones are the messaging apps in the smartphones, right? So which means, I mean, whether it is the one-to-one, the human conversation in the language, or in the way we communicate using the messaging platforms, language is really becoming the primary backbone of this communication, right? So similarly, I think as I said, because of the ability where we are seeing, say, a device like Alexa could understand what I'm speaking and do something, whether it is turning on the lights or playing music and all that. The same way, I think we would be. I mean, just because humans we love to talk, I think we would be a lot more comfortable chatting with somebody to get things done, right, in a virtual meeting. And more than that, I think there are a lot of increasingly we see a lot of statistics around where voice is really becoming the primary interface. I mean, the voice search is a primary example here. I mean, there are a lot of statistics which says where even the way whether we use Bing search or Google, the way people do it rather than typing, doing it through a voice medium is increasing significantly, right? And other than that, I mean, it is not just limited to English, whether it is Spanish, French, or any of the local languages, regional languages. Even those, the voice, I mean, the language and technologies are also getting much, much better, right? The second one is primarily around the technology drivers. I mean, so the two key technology played, is this, one is the speech, the voice related technology. The second one is around the understanding for the machines to. I mean, so it is the microphone, the speaker, as well as there is an AI engine which is able to understand what I just said, right? So that technology, I mean, which used to be limited to some the geeky companies like whether it was Facebook, Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. No, that is highly commoditized, and then and available at a very very low, affordable unit cost. So that is one of the primary reason in terms of one is the affordability, and the second one is in terms of the accuracy. I mean, there is always whenever we pitch something like this, the first question I mean, oh, yeah, I've heard it, but I mean, there is always how good is this? How accurate is this? Right? I think that's a very, very common question. We always ask. But definitely, I mean, I have some stats. In terms of say whether it is Microsoft, the language understanding or the speech transcription, the error rates or the accuracy rates are very, very close to human comprehension levels. Right. So we have seen that. I'll also talk about it in some of the examples. We have seen some very good results, even in playing spaces like the engineering or healthcare. I mean, the healthcare, it gets even more challenging because it's not just about simple English. It is also about the complex medical vocabulary. When I say influenza, doxycycline, or acetaminophen, all these complex medical terms also, I mean, you can get very good accuracy in the devices listening to this as well as, understanding these terminologies. And the other thing is the new what I call is the omni-channel ecosystem. till today, or rather, I mean, I'm not. So the mobile phones and websites or web application used to be the primary interfaces for any of the customer applications, whether you had a website or a web application or an app on a smartphone. Now, with the messaging devices, every messaging platform is now really becoming an interface, whether it is the text messages, Alexa, Google Home, or Microsoft Teams for that matter. Microsoft Teams in many companies is really converging many of the the work around it. I mean, you have an option to take the work where the collaboration really happens. So whether it is Slack, WhatsApp, I mean Twilio, again, where the telephony itself is really becoming a highly conversation. So all these mediums are now becoming channels. I mean, when we had only two options with the internet or the website and the smartphone, the mobile app. Now you have so many other ways in which you can provide take your services to your customers, right? And the third one is around your customer expectations. This is primarily to do with the millennials and the Gen Zs, who are really becoming the consumers, right? So what we really call is, I mean, today, our life pretty much revolves around the mobile phone. I mean, while I'm chatting with somebody, I just would like to, hey, get to know the score, or I check the weather, I buy a pizza, I get a book. All these are like, very, very short, we call as microtransactions. We just keep switching between these tasks, so fast. So the way, we used to do that today, having to jump into multiple apps to do that, or multiple websites to do that, that would soon change. Say for example, can I just ask my Alexa device, hey, to do this? Or can you just chat with somebody like the way, in a single chat application, how you're talking to so many different friends? Can I just talk to bot on, say, to order pizza, to check my, my flight arrival time and all that, right? So that is one of the primary reasons. I mean, in terms of the way we have our life has become, it's all around the micro task. The second thing is we are a Google generation. Any question, anything and everything, we go to Bing search or Google search to ask that question. Right. So that is again what we are calling it as a momentary information need. I mean, or if there is somebody knowledgeable, we would definitely ask that person, call them, or just ask them. So similarly, even for any information access, I mean, imagine, if you can just ask a bot or ask a virtual assistant, for that information. What is my account balance? Why should I log into my, say, the bank's website to get this, look at, do a few mouse clicks and then, look at my number? Rather, can I just chat with somebody and ask my the bank bot, hey, what is my account balance? When is my statement due? All these kind of questions, I can just ask just the way, I would like to ask a friend, in a messaging platform. And hyper personalization. I mean, this is something, every service today, everybody knows. I mean, it is primarily driven by the data, the big data ecosystem. So how do I leverage this data and then personalize the services? I mean, especially when we're talking about conversations. When we talk to a friend, I mean, the second time we have a conversation, we have a deep context in terms of, hey, what we spoke the previous time, what they already know, what they may not know, and all that. So definitely that kind of experience, we are able to bring it here, in conversation with the data ecosystem here, right? And the last one is also something, it's more to do with the millennials or the Gen Zs. It's around the do-it-yourself mindset. Rather than just going to a bank or doing, I mean, today everyone is very much comfortable to do that on own, and then in a very, very simple interface like messaging platform, right? So those are like the very three high level drivers in terms of what why conversation is really becoming popular. So, and if I have to sum it up, I mean, so I really look at it like in terms of technology, three major areas. You had in the late 90s, the advent of internet driving the e-commerce revolution, right? And then, you had the smartphones, really driving the mobile app revolution, right? Every enterprise, every company, or anything we do, they all started having a mobile app. So what is we really seeing coming, or rather, it is already here, is the language interface, the revolution. I think more and more, I think that would be because of the drivers, which I just talked about. You would see increasingly the conversational or the language interface really becoming popular. I think it is just part of the way technology has really evolved over a period of time. So, and whenever I talk about this, the most common use case, which almost all of us would have become familiar, is this small, tiny widget which is sitting in every possible website today, right? The chatbot. So, is it really a chatbot? So, even here, and at the same time, when I ask people, hey, how's almost invariably, I mean, all of us have had some not so pleasant user experience with a chatbot, right? So what is, I mean, this is Gartner's definition of, the maturity of these chatbots. So what is really happening is with more AI, with more context awareness, with more personalization, the conversational platform is just evolving, from a chatbot to more as a virtual assistant. So in fact, even within Purple Slate as a company, we focus more on crafting these virtual assistants. In fact, to as much as possible, we avoid the term chatbot, but so the applications we build, I'll show some examples. We bring in a lot of focus more on the language understanding capabilities, getting things done, like rather than just providing an answer, getting things done to complete a business transaction, making it true omni-channel interface, which shares the context across the platforms and all that. Right? Any questions? Maybe before I jump into the insurance industry specific stuff. Any questions? Any comments so far? All right. So let me just talk about, the topic for the day. Especially within the insurance industry. How is conversational AI being used, and then what are some of the use cases? I'll also show some examples of what we have built for some of our customers in the insurance industry. So, assisted by AI, this is again, as I said, there are like four stages, what they say in the maturity of artificial intelligence. One is, do it yourself without any assistance. That's the way the humans were doing. Now, we are getting into more of what we call as do it together, where humans are comfortable working with a smart assistant, whether it is a virtual assistant like a chatbot or it can even be a telephony where some portions of the calls are handled by a virtual assistant, right? So, and the next evolution, what they're really seeing in the world of AI is around, where the machines or the bot really does things on its own. And, and then the bot's really working together. That's almost like utopia, maybe, a few decades away and all that. But definitely technology is going to evolve and, eventually, it'll get there. But right now, we are more in this stage of doing it together, where humans are trying to leverage, or rather what I would call is these technologies, the conversational AI technologies or the virtual assistants, they are augmenting the human capabilities. Whether it is in the healthcare space or whether it is in the any industry handling the customer service requests and all that. I think we are in the second stage where humans are comfortable working with these virtual assistants or the AI bots. Which is helping them with some significant gains. One is easy information access, improving productivity, or help trying to be more efficient and all that, right? Now, how do these changes help in value creation? So at the end of the day, how does it, this is what really matters, right? It's not just about leveraging a technology because it's so cool. It is, hey, at the end of the day, how does it really help in value creation? So customer experience, as I said, that's definitely one of the number one factor. So today, as I said, even if you have to know the weather, you can just sit in your sofa and ask, hey, Alexa, what's the weather today? Hey, Alexa, play the song, right? Similarly, as I said, if you can do that without even going to, say, your bank's website or something, hey, not just asking or shouting out to Alexa, within your smartphone, if you can chat and say that, hey, what happened to this particular ticket, or when is my premium due? Can I really do that? Those kind of, the way we used to chat with human beings, can I really do that? Over a conversation. Operational efficiencies and productivity. This is the second point. Is one of the major areas in which where most of the enterprises are adopting these technologies. One is, say for example, we work with a very large pet care provider in the US. as I mean, many of you would know, the documentation part is one of the most time consuming effort for the doctors. They hate it. I mean, they spend close to 30 to 40 minutes for every patient, to record it. So what we have done is, we have just built a real-time transcription while they are talking to the patient. The whole interaction, we have an application that just listens to it. So the doctor, the whole medical examination, he can just speak. The application listens to it, understands it, parses it, converts it to a medical record, all of that. I think, the way we have done is that 30 to 40 minutes of documentation time, we have brought it down to like 10 to 15 minutes, right? So basically, it is like giving a lot of time back to the doctors so that, they can do what they're really good at, which is seeing more patients, right? I think that's the other examples is around, say, call center efficiency, where, now, especially as I said, during the pandemic, some of the insurance companies, healthcare industry, they were heavily loaded with, calls. At the same time, they were also stressed for human resources because of, the lockdown and all. That's where the automation or the virtual assistants responding to calls and all that, I think these technologies really came in handy. So definitely productivity and efficiency gains are one of the common use case themes. New revenue streams, it's mainly because the example I told you now, you have, if it was just a website and the mobile app, now you have so many other ways to sell your services, right? I think that is one of the significant aspects of, where the new revenue streams really come into picture. Personalized services, all of us, I mean, we can see that anything we do today or anything we buy, or anything that is sold to us, it is extremely hyper personalized. I think, given the ability of, the amount of data every enterprise has, now you have an option to completely personalize those services, for your customers. So these are like the four major use cases theme in terms of value creation. Or in other words, as I said, if I have to truly break it down into bottom line goals, offloading your customer service requests, if 30 to 40% of the call, if they are mostly for information, you can have a virtual assistant respond to it rather than a human being, and human being could do a much higher value added task. Improving the customer experience, right? I mean, definitely, if there are more channels available, definitely, or the other ways, with these messaging platforms, with technology, you can have these services 24/7. I mean, without even having a human, responding to those calls on the other side, right? So that definitely, it's a significant uptick for customer experience. New delivery channels, I talked about it, how all these messaging platforms and smart speaker ecosystem are really, contributing to that. Revenue gains, obviously. I mean, if these new channels are going to bring in new revenue streams, or the cost reduction because of the efficiency gains and productivity gains, right? Definitely, I think those are some significant drivers, right? I mean, some statistics in terms of, from Gartner in terms of how, I mean, that's something like, 25%, this is last year, where would be handled by a virtual assistant. Or, I mean, most of the time these days, when you get a call number, it is pretty much answered by, there is a very, very high likelihood that, it is answered by a bot, right? So this is one, I mean, just a food for thought while we're talking a lot about AI, right? I think, while there is a perception that, hey, companies invest in these technologies primarily to save time and money, it is also true that, I mean, as I said, mainly because of the new, the millennials or the new generation, the next gen individuals, they are also extremely comfortable talking to these, or rather running their experiences doing it this way. I mean, I have seen people, who are like extremely comfortable chatting rather than just picking up a phone and talking to somebody, right? I think that is also what is, that's happening as one of the drivers. It's not just about cost reduction. I mean, it's a driver. I mean, there is a lot of expectation from the next gen customers for similar experience.
Right. Okay, so, smart call.
Okay. I guess that was a background noise. Anyway, so moving on. Let me just quickly jump into what we do, more in terms of our expertise as well as the different technologies. And the next section, I'll also show some of the use cases and the demos, right? So what do we really, I mean, as I said, conversational AI, it's not just limited to chatbots. I mean, definitely we are focusing more on the advanced stages of it. So I mean, I mean, as a company, we build a lot of applications with voice interfaces. So today, an Alexa-like experiences. So, say, yeah, I mean, anybody, I mean, what we call as a wake word, Alexa, do this. That can be done even for an enterprise. I mean, you have an ability to create custom wake words. I mean, so say, for example, within the healthcare space, we have something like Oscar, or, hey, Oscar, show me the pets, get me the vaccine schedule of this particular patient, right? So while the doctor in the exam room, while they're talking to the patient, they have an ability to communicate with their own virtual assistant like this with their custom word. This is something, one of the very popular applications which we built, for a pet care company, where since the doctor is busy with the pet or talking to the customer, they pretty much interact with for the medical records or any of the other activities, in a voice interface. So this is something, which we focus, a lot on. The other thing is language understanding. So the two main aspects of conversation, as I said, one is the listening or the voice speech part. The second thing is understanding part. I think at the end of the day, these two have to be significantly done right before we even take an action, right? So we focus. I mean, we also specialize in this area around language understanding solutions. It's like, say, for example, very simple, we call it as the intent discovery part. When I say that, hey, can I get my insurance from my dad, so there is quite a bit of information which is already available, right? So I'm looking for an insurance for my dad whose age is like 70 years, and then there is a pre-existing medical condition which is diabetic. All these information the virtual assistant could use to provide the answer, or ask only the follow-ups which that information is not present, right? So the typical way, or the typical chatbot way of today, the way it happens is, the question is, hey, how can I help you? So it says, I would like to get an insurance policy. Who is it for? And then that's the way it goes, sequential array of questions. But rather, I mean, that's not how humans we communicate, right? Rather, why don't we just say that in English and then use better language understanding mechanisms, and then to improve the user experience. So this is again an area where we so the last one, as I said, say that the question around show me the pets that were treated with, say, a medicine and for a species. So we again, this is another area where we focus exclusively on what we call as conversational insights. Just like how we consume data through reports and dashboards, why don't we just let the user ask the question in English? I mean, this is again an area we focus a lot on, and then which is like providing access to data in simple English, right? Similar to the last question. So the third one, I mean, intelligent telephony, I mean, which is completely about redefining your IVR experience. How do we really now? IVR is really becoming more as intelligent virtual agent. So when rather than saying going the typical prompts way, so what we do is we just the similar 1-800 numbers, we just let the customer speak, and then there is a bot which intercepts it and then responds. Anything which it cannot, it is integrated with the call volume and the help desk folks, just like how it is done today. With a deeper context. Hey, this is what the customer is called. So there is a good amount of pre-screening or process which is already done by the bot before it hands it over to the human. So these are like very, very simple examples, or very common examples of improving efficiencies, towards time savings and all that. Because so most of the time, sometimes when the customers call, it is for some very, very monotonous scenarios. A very common example I can tell you is, say you go to any large organization, the IT organization, the number of calls the IT help desk would receive, would be so high for something as simple as password reset. Hey, I forgot my password. What do I do? My machine is locked. What do I do? Right? These kind of very, very mundane questions can be very easily handled by a bot. And then, so that's one very common use case theme, which is getting popular in the industry. And, we focus a lot on this space. The other thing is around, smart assistants. And again, which is across the platform, whether it is what you see, the first screen is on the website. The second one is on WhatsApp for business, especially in countries like India and all, it's very, very popular. When you have majority of the population using WhatsApp for communication, so we have customers sending their same, using the same platform to deliver the business, whether it is submitting an insurance claim or checking the claim status and all that. And then, so WhatsApp is a very common, popular channel. And then the third one, what you see here is also the mobile app. It is, you just build it once and it is available across these channels. Right. And the last one, Microsoft Teams. This is also an area where we focus a lot on. The collaboration platforms are increasingly becoming area where, for you to get things done. As much as, we chat with our friends. So even if there is an approval request for you, there is a procurement request which is waiting for your approval, you can have a Teams bot say that, hey, you know what? Hey, it can nudge. You have an approval waiting for. Today, it could be happening through an email, right? So you'll get an email and then, you click on and then, it takes you to another application. Rather, you can program it in a way that there are bots, which help you orchestrate this workflow within Microsoft Teams. So this is, again, a very, very popular use case theme, across enterprises, primarily towards, productivity and, and making the collaboration platform, or rather taking them beyond the standard, messaging. So in fact, we have built a very, very, very useful for a HR application. The whole process around recruitment, it is automated, within Slack as a platform. That's something, which we built for an executive search firm. So now, more on those, just jumping in from those themes, I'm just going to talk more about some specific use cases and demos, I'll just show. So these are grouped into three major themes. One is delighting your customers. And insurance industry, you can say that, definitely customers are one significant, or the clients are one significant persona user group. The second one is also the intermediaries, whether those are the agents or your fulfillers or your sales managers and all that. And that is one. The third area is around the insurance company, where you have huge pool of agents or support service agents, who are really servicing those policies and all that, right? So we have use cases targeted around these three user groups, right? So again, in terms of business outcome, specific to definitely, growing the business, improving customer experience, we just saw that, managing the costs, improving sales and all that, right? So now let's just jump into some specific use cases. As I said, I'm going to show some demos of these, right? Answering repetitive questions, very, very common one. If many of the companies today might have a very large knowledge base sitting in their website FAQ, hardly people would even use that the FAQs are, it is very difficult to find. It is stuck somewhere deep inside the sitemap, or even search is very difficult. Even if it is there, people would still call, hey, how do I do this, right? I think that's one of the very common use case to, or rather, it's one of the, I would say, even if if you're thinking about getting into the conversation journey, this is one of the easiest, or rather, the low-hanging fruit somebody could start with. Is converting, or we could just call it as make your FAQs great again, right? The FAQ page, which is hardly used, whether it is the IT help desk or anything. Almost every application today has an FAQ, which nobody uses. Can we really make it more conversational, where people can just ask the question? We apply the language understanding techniques, and then just to provide the answer. So rather than them calling somebody, they can just talk to a virtual assistant. So this is a very common use case theme, to get started with. The second one is around policy recommender. As I said, many of these insurance companies have a boutique of insurance product. Each one of them have their own eligibility criteria, or they are targeted towards a specific demography and all that. So asking the way, just like how a human agent would be selling these policies, you could, you could replicate the same behavior just by asking a question more hey, asking a question even just about their demographic. Hey, how old are you, or what do you do? And then maybe, even based on the example I was telling you some time back, hey, I'm looking for an insurance for my dad who's diabetic and, who's 70 years old. So if there is a policy which primarily caters to diabetes, and then, with increased coverage and all, definitely that could be a recommended one, right? So the virtual assistants, I mean, are increasingly being used on these kind of use cases for a recommender, right? So, say, I mean, including cross-selling opportunities like this. Hey, do you know that? I mean, say if they have bought an insurance, I mean, you just ask a follow. I mean, one thing which we have done for a customer is, hey, do you have kids going to college? Immediately, it just says, hey, by the way, would they be interested in, say, overseas insurance, or an insurance for the kids' education and all this. So that is how, I mean, some of these recommenders could also be used for cross-selling opportunities and all that. Education awareness for the agents. I mean, whenever you introduce a new product, I mean, we did something like this for a bank. Whenever they make changes to the standard operating procedure, educating the changes to the pool of service, the customer service was a big deal. So that's where, I mean, you can automate it with an assistant where, they can always, rather than asking the similar way, how they used to ask a human, hey, what do I do for a check approval? Hey, you have to do these 1 and 2 steps. Okay, I've done 2. What do I do next? These kind of questions on the SOPs could be automated, or even the awareness on the products. I mean, hey, I mean, I have a customer who's asking this, what products can I recommend? I mean, one thing is, laying on your memory, but the other thing is, definitely you can have a virtual assistant helping you. I mean, this is, again, it goes back to the example I was telling you where AI is really augmenting humans, to do better, right? Sometimes, you may not even remember, hey, is this the right product? But definitely that can be codified and then, used, or rather that information could be provided for a human, right? The other thing, I mean, as I said, told you about the do-it-yourself mindset. So whether it is submitting a claim or checking on a claim status or doing a renewal, rather than me calling my agent to do the renewal, can I just do it on my own? One is, yeah, I can have a mobile app or I can have a website, but say, can I really do that in WhatsApp, right? I think that is something, which is becoming very, very popular, where the messaging platform, is where you can do many of these tasks, whether it is paying your premium or doing your renewals, submitting a claim, checking for the status, all those things, can be done on messaging platforms, right? Call center efficiency, I talked about it a lot. Really having a smart assistant, as the first line of support. And definitely, in fact, for one of a customer during the pandemic, as high as 55% of the call volume was handled by a bot. And right, that's how much the volume really went up. So this is one, again, very, very common use case used across, the industry. New channels, I also talked about it a lot, using Alexa device, or, something like a Facebook Messenger or your Google Home really becoming like a channel and all that. Intelligent virtual assistant, this is, again, very similar to the telephony stuff, which you just talked about, right? In this is one very interesting. Let me quickly get into one of our, the demo which we've done for, or rather, let me show an example from a live customer's website on what we have done. So, okay, let me go here. Okay, so this is Twinkle, and Twinkle can do, so many things. I mean, in terms of whether it is a simple question on, say, so is the pre-acceptance medical examination for diabetes plan, or, it can just answer some of those questions, or something as trivial as, say, for example, I'm at a hospital and, say I don't have an emergency, I don't have my ID card. Is there a way, I can just get my, so say, for example, my policy document or a tax certificate. I mean, I can just do this. These are like very simple ways in which, you can even do a business transaction, through a bot. Say, for example, it says, I'm going to authenticate you through a mobile phone. So yeah, I mean, we do multi-factor authentication and all, because, these are business transactions. So it is now authenticating me with a, one-time password. Let me just check. Okay, I just got it here. So it verified my, just with my mobile number and a one-time password. Now, it has just fetched my policies. And then, so these are my policies. I can just pick one and it's going to now, instantly, just in few seconds, right? I have access to, so yeah, I think that was a old policy, so that I can just do it again. And then, so this is one very, very simple example, in terms of, how, yeah, I can download this and then, it sends it to my email ID, or, I instantly have that policy here, right? So this is one very simple example in terms of how you can even have, more and more business transactions are getting integrated. I mean, not just about, say, I mean, really within like few seconds, I don't have to call anybody. I mean, this is what, when we talk about the bottom line gains and all, more from a customer experiences. And in scenarios like, hey, in an emergency scenario where I don't have those documents with me, but I don't have an ID card, or those scenarios, definitely, I think in just like few seconds, just with a virtual assistant like this, you can get it done. And the same twinkle, we have it implemented in, say, WhatsApp and, in other messaging platforms as well. And the same thing is also available in the 1-800 number. All these questions, when a customer calls that number and asks them, it is handled by a bot. The same twinkle bot responds to it, right? So this is one of the use cases where, you have virtual assistant doing transactions. The other one I just wanted to show you, which is, becoming very popular. This is called as guided web browsing. Say, imagine you are ordering food, or even say, for example, you're doing web check-in, right? One is, you can do it yourself. Say, for example, you're just going to this, and then, you have some question on the food, or you have some question on, say, the piano number, you have to enter for the web check-in. That time, we just call somebody, right? Hey, those calls, I mean, imagine, when you call that person, right? They would be, either you have to share the screen, or you would be telling them, hey, this is what I'm seeing on the screen, and then what do I do? And, I'm getting this error, what do I do, right? Imagine if that application, the number, which is answering your call, is again a bot, AI bot, and it can also see, well, I mean, with your, permission, with your, authorizing it, it can also see what you're doing on the screen. It can guide. That's what we really call as guided, true omnichannel experience, where your telephone call, which is the same twinkle or the virtual assistant, and what you're doing on the website, both of them share the context, and then, they can just, that way the experience, it just gets it's so much better, because, it is going to help you without even you really talking to human. Let me just explain it with a simple, it is a bit difficult to, replicate this experience on a meeting. I'll just show a video on what I'm really talking about. Just checking, can you hear the audio? Can you?
Yes, sure.
Yes, I can hear it.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Adam. This is Kiwi. Thanks for calling to renew your health insurance. Shall I guide you through the renewal steps?
Yes, thank you. But can you please let me know first the date of renewal for my health insurance policy?
Sure. I just need to confirm your policy number first. Is it 123 ABC 890?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. It should not take more.
So just to pass, what is really happening is, when the customer called that number, the customer is really talking to Kiwi, the virtual assistant. That's the one, which is really responding to the calls.
In 60 seconds of your time.
Yes, please.
I have shared a link for policy renewal on your WhatsApp. Can you please open the link? Let me walk you through a few simple steps. For security purposes, can you please enter your date of birth? Thanks for the input, Adam. Please find your health insurance policy details. Thanks for confirming, Adam. I see that it's due for renewal in a week's time.
So now, whatever the customer is doing on the website, in the web application, the phone call, the virtual assistant, Kiwi is just walking in through the steps. So the application can also exactly follow every click, what the customer is doing. And I mean, because that's what we really call as a context. And with that, right, I mean, so that's why I gave this example around whether it is a web check-in or the insurance policy renewal, or say even a food order. Imagine, you're trying to order something, you really don't know, hey, how good is this and all. If you can call somebody and say someone who is a critique, and then, ask them, hey, how do you think, this food item would be like? That's the scenario. But the only thing is here, instead of the human, you have a virtual assistant or AI bot really helping you with that, and with a very good context of what you're really doing on a mobile application or a website.
Would you like to renew it now? I can assist you with that.
Hey, Kiwi, can I change my nominee details?
Of course, I can walk you through it right now. Would you like to start?
Yes.
Sure. Please click the edit button adjacent to the nominee details. Please upload your new nominee details, name, age, relationship, and percentage of claim.
What should I do now?
Please click the update button to confirm these details. You're welcome. You can proceed to the payment window. Please click on the Proceed button.
Yes.
Hey Adam, you also have the option of increasing the coverage amount. Based on your healthy lifestyle, you would be eligible for better discounts if you increase your coverage amount. That's a wise choice. It always helps to have additional coverage for your family in these days of uncertainties. You are just a click away to get your policy renewed. Can you please click Pay Now to proceed? Thanks. Now you can see various options to make the payment. Thanks for the payment, Adam. Can you please confirm your registered email ID with us? Thanks. I have emailed you a copy of your insurance policy and the payment receipt. Would you like to receive a copy of it on WhatsApp?
Yes, that would be great.
Sure thing. I'm sending them to your WhatsApp. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, thank you.
Pleasure assisting you today. I'm just a call away if you need any help. Have a good evening. True omnichannel experience for the AI first generation.
So this is one area, where we focus extensively on. Today, if you really think about it, this kind of experience is, either you have to share a screen, or you start narrating that experience to someone on the phone, and then, but if both the applications, the website and the AI bot, if they can share the context, if it really knows, so that's the whole idea. In fact, this is one of most of the times, right? One of our insurance customers using this, they keep sending text messages or emails, hey, your policy is up for renewal. You really do not know till the customer really, does the renewal or makes a payment, that sale is not really complete. So what we really do is that from that link, we just help them, complete the transaction with an application like this, right? It's almost like whether it is an agent or a human being really helping you just complete the transaction. Even if you have questions, like what we saw in that example, all those changes and all that, it is being done with a human-like experience, but done by an AI bot, right? So this is something, which is very, very, we have seen some very good receptions from some of customer, and, something very interesting where two applications share the context. The other thing, I talked about process automation in terms of, how you could automate the workflows on, collaboration platforms and all that, right? So now, I showed you a bot, the Twinkle bot and all that. How easy, or rather, where do we really come in terms of, Purple Slate, how do we really come? So what we have is, Kiwi is one of our, the low-code platform, which we have. I'll just show you how easy or what it really takes, to build a very simple conversational experience like this, right? So let me just take you to what we have as a Kiwi Studio. So imagine, as I said, a very, very simple low-hanging fruit use case is this around, automating your FAQs. So if you have a bunch of question and answers like this, I'm just taking for the sake of demo, a very simple use case like this. Hey, I have how easy or how, is for me to create, say, a simple virtual assistant, which can just respond to these questions, right? So what we have is, we have something called this, a Kiwi Studio. Let me do something from scratch. So it is, I'm going to call this as, I already have a OD, so let me just call it here. And okay, so this is the CSV I just showed you here, the content with the question and answers, right? So what really happens is, here. So our platform kind of, it just understood, did a lot of stuff, tech processing underneath, with the question and answers. It did certain stuff. I'll show you what it really mean by, related questions and tags and all, how they are being used, right? So let me just click next. And, so it's just getting the virtual assistant or the bot ready. Okay, I have it ready here. Say for example, I don't want it to look, I just want it to look different. Let me go and add the Woody's image avatar. So my bot is really Woody. And so it has done it. And then, let me, so the bot is now ready, right? I mean, so say for example, how do I even use this? One is, yeah, I can definitely open it. And then, so here's my Woody bot, which is just going to come, with the bunch of questions I had on this, right? Or say, I mean, I have this is my website. I have it something like this, right? How, say, let me just go and go back to Studio, copy this code snippet. And so this is my website, and I already have my website code edited here. So let me just go and paste it here and save it. And this is the website. So I do a refresh, and there you go. There I have my Woody bot available, right? And that's it. What, less than a minute? And so all those questions, you have it ready. So what it does is, say for example, I have a question on, say, how do I sign up for a bank account? I mean, right? So it provides that answer. Along with that, what it also does is, hey, you may be interested in something related to that. So say for example, if I ask a question on, I mean, very similar to what we do in Google, right? I mean, it just responds with an answer. By the time, it also gives you some related information, which you might. That's pretty much what Kiwi also did here. When we created the bot, based on the content. So it say, we have a intelligent way of identifying the tags, identifying the related questions, and and that's something which we do behind the scenes. And once we do that, like if I go back here to the bot, it says that, say for example, this question is insurance, anything related to that, those information is also available, right? So that's pretty much what you get by the platform Kiwi. It has come absolutely. It is a no-code platform. Just in few clicks, without writing code, you can have a bot up and running, right? So, and I mean, so before I just talking a little more about the, I mean, these are some of our customers who we have worked with on conversational AI. Some very, very interesting solutions, very large ones, especially the one with Star Health or VCA, the pet care chain, or Daimler. What we have done for them and all. I mean, Assurance. In fact, it was an insurance company startup based out of Seattle. And we built a policy recommender on Alexa for them a few years back. I mean, so definitely, I mean, there are some very, very interesting use cases, which we have done. Say, for example, Siemens Healthineers, their lab devices, so the lab technicians have a way to ask the questions in English and then, get things done, right? So just to highlight a couple of examples, with some bottom line goals. I mean, one is definitely the health insurance provider. More than 1 million questions now, it is answered by the virtual assistant. And I mean, especially the last couple of years, in fact, it so happened, we had delivered the solution just before the first pandemic, I mean, the lockdown started around March 2019. And, this came extremely handy for them, to answer the customer queries. See, the insurance companies, especially the health insurance companies, they had a double whammy. One is a lot of people were getting sick extremely, the costs were going up, and, the number of claims the service requests were growing significantly. At the same time, you had very, very less staff to support because of the lockdown. That's where a technology solution like this, I mean, in fact, this is what I'm really seeing. I think, what the pandemic is also going to trigger is the real meaningful digital transformation going to happen with many of the companies, where whatever we talked about, hey, are trying out some of these innovations. I think these solutions this is the time, many of the companies who had already made the investment, they saw the benefits, or many of them would be doing such. I think, this is the time for some real digital transformation activities leveraging technologies like conversational AI and all, going mainstream. Absolutely, I think, we handle the entire digital journey for this customer, both in terms of revenue increasing sales as well as optimizing costs. There is something, we've done a lot of work for them. The second one is, again, which I would like to highlight here, is it's on the pet care space or the healthcare space. It's for the doctors. Two significant aspects are, one is, the virtual assistant, in this case, it is called Oscar. They just ask questions to Oscar in English. Hey, Oscar, get me the vaccine schedule for Fluffy. Hey, or if you are doing a research, hey, show me the pets treated with, say, doxycycline for influenza in the last 2 years. All these questions in English. The doctors ask those, and then that's the way, that they consume this data through this virtual assistant called Oscar, right? Behind the scene, it mines millions of rows of data, and not just providing the information, it does beyond. Kind of the way, it summarizes, the way it gives you the related information, completely automated, with the language interface, both speech, as I said, the primary interfaces in the exam room, they have this application sitting in a tab. They just interacted with the voice interface. That's the way, this whole interaction works. So under the hood, a little bit about technology. We're just getting close to the time. Pretty much, we are a Microsoft Gold partner, and then, one of the completely built on Microsoft Azure related technologies. You can see the entire suite of technologies, we use underneath for these conversational AI solutions. Primarily the speech services and LOAS, which is the language understanding part around natural language understanding. We extensively use, especially the speech services. It's not just about your English language. When you go to domains like, say, for example, for Daimler, the vocabulary in the engineering space was very different. What frame rail options did we use in Allison trucks? So definitely it has to understand what is Allison, what is frame rail, or what is frame rail 10078, right? All these kind of domain specific vocabulary understanding, I think, you can improve. You can build those language models using, whether the speech services, Azure speech services, or, and then the lowest thing, right? And definitely our low code framework, it's in the Microsoft Cosel approved. What I just showed you, Kiwi, just like few clicks, you have an ability to build and implement a conversational AI solution. And that's where we really come in. We really help you with the time to market. The significant gain is in the time to market to get build some of these stuff. So how should you get ready? Just a simple, just one of my very last few slides. As I said, if you have not really done, definitely I would say, starting with a proof of concept or concept validator. I'm sure, many of you or many of the companies have already been in this journey. They have already been experimenting with it or taking it to the next level, definitely. But the first step is, as I said, as simple as like an FAQ. That's all it takes. It's a very, very simple way to get a virtual assistant done, but slightly better than, or rather much better than, a chatbot experience, right? And then I also showed you examples with Twinkle, how you can really integrate it with the business transaction, including two-factor authentication and all that, right? Getting the business layers, many of the companies, they have very large legacy footprint. So having them ready, or rather with the ability to integrate with these conversational AI services is also very, very important. And making it a true omnichannel. Definitely, it's not just about a chatbot. You can have the same virtual assistant available in a mobile application or a telephone or in a messaging platform like WhatsApp. I think that's what really makes it much, much more powerful, taking it across those different channels, right? And the last one is very, very important. These things, anything to do with AI and machine learning, it evolves over a period of time. So we do have, in fact, even within the Kiwi ecosystem, you have an ability to track adoption, and then, improve the accuracy on a continuous basis and all that, right? The last few slides, as I said, in terms of, just to summarize, how do they really help? Definitely, the new channels, I keep talking about, whether it is the smart speakers or the messaging platform, I think, and new interaction method, other than your touch interface or the point and click, now you have an ability to just talk, right? Personalization, absolutely, with a deeper context. Say, and the one I was showing you in the video, where the telephone, the virtual assistant was really walking the user through, with the context on the web application, right? Efficiency gains, absolutely. There is a number one theme. Most of the companies are attempting these use cases. Reducing, very common one is reducing the call volume. Definitely, this is one of the primary reasons why many of the companies are, leveraging these technologies. And I mean, augmenting human capabilities. I mean, when very common example I just showed you is around the doctors. The transcription part or the documentation part, which used to take 30 to 40 minutes, it is a significant time savings for them, right? So yeah, I mean, the last one, definitely, with our platform, just makes it that much more easier. And, it's like, don't just build it once and then, use it, launch it across messaging channels and continuously monitor, measure, and improve the adoption. And this is the way, we call it. Definitely chatbots are getting better, similar to the Gartner example. The infographic I showed you. The next evolution is the virtual assistant, which are more personalized, which are extremely context aware, which are helping you get things done. That's where we focus mainly, instead of just building build a conversational app. I mean, it's not just about even a chatbot, right? So these are a few of the ways, definitely we can help. You can engage us. So, we do have an option to do free trials and POCs. That's the way most of the time, we start our engagement with the customers. I would be more than happy to have a chat. Please do reach out to us. The emails are there.